guys, and welcome back to another episode of A Better You. I am your host, Fernanda Ramirez, and welcome to another episode. I am so excited for today's episode because we are going to be talking about 12 different ways that you can show yourself self-love. These are not your typical take a bubble bath, paint your nails, give yourself a hug. No, we are going deep, and these are 12 lessons that I have had to learn the hard way. The true way, the really lessons that I have implemented myself and ones that have truly made me feel love from within pour out of me. And I really feel like they are lessons that I have specifically honed in on over the past almost year that I have been out of my last relationship. If you guys are new here and you didn't know, just to give you some context or some backstory, which you probably know since I talk about it all the time, but I'm sorry guys, it was a big chapter in my life. What am I gonna say? I got out of a 5-year relationship in September, and it was my first time being single ever since I was 17. And over the past few months, I have been exploring who I am outside of being attached to somebody and really focusing on self-love and just the concept of love in general. It is a quality that I want to lead with, and it is a quality that I want to embody, and it is a quality that I want to spread everywhere I go. I feel like love is the highest frequency, and so if you can embody it and everyone can embody it and you can give it freely, then it just makes your world and the world a happier place to be in. So love is very important to me, and self-love, of course, is a number one, quality I try to focus on and work on. And I feel like self-love is not a personality trait, and self-love is not something that you inherit. Self-love is a skill, and sometimes it needs to be taught. And I feel like it's a little bit of a muscle. If you're not used to sourcing that love out of yourself, sometimes you may even outsource it from other people. And that can be a tricky situation, because if you give your heart to the wrong person, they might give you little bits of love, and then you might think that that's all that you actually deserve, or you might just take that as the Bible, and you're like, no, that's the love that should be given to me. And then you realize, wait a second, that's not how much love I deserve to have. And actually, if I show myself all of this love, I can almost outlove myself. You know what I mean? You will be so self-possessed, you will not need anyone else, and you will just radiate love. So honestly, with all that being said, I feel like that is why self-love has been so important to me over the past few months, and it has been something that I have been trying to get better at. It is something that I feel so passionate about, and I'm excited to kind of talk about it in today's episode, because I hope that all of us can embody self-love a little bit more. And yeah, it's just such an important skill. And it doesn't even have to be just if you are single. It can be even in a relationship, or even if you are seeing somebody. Self-love is important in any scenario, and I feel like it makes you also a more pleasurable person to be around and a more pleasurable state to just live in. So I kind of just started yapping and going off about this topic, but let's slow down for a minute. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do so on YouTube at A Better You by Fernanda, on Apple, on Spotify. You can leave a comment, you can leave a review, you can DM me on abetteryou.byfernanda on Instagram, and all my personal accounts are just at Fernanda Ramirez. If you haven't been listening to the past few episodes, definitely give them a listen, because I've really enjoyed all the episodes that I've been putting out recently, and I think you guys would really resonate with them, especially if you like this one. And I even have a podcast on ways to actually implement self-love, and a different episode on self-love. It actually did really well, and I think that you guys would really love it, and we kind of really dive into what self-love actually means. This one is just little tidbits and little pieces of advice that I feel like I've learned along the way, and I think it's going to be quite different than the last one. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the 12 ways that I have been practicing self-love, and ways that you guys can start implementing them for yourself. I also want to say, I feel like sometimes self-love seems like an obvious. It seems like something that you should just know how to do, but there's so many ways that self-love can actually be shown, and so many ways that you wouldn't even think about. And that can start with my number one way, which is unshakable boundaries. I really feel like this has been the year of boundaries for me, and it has been the year of learning my own boundaries. When I was in a relationship, I feel like, also I want to say before I get into this, all of this is going to be based on my own lived experience. So, take what resonates, take it with a grain of salt, because this is just from my lived experience. And as I was saying, with boundaries, in my case, when I was in a relationship from 17 to 23, I feel like I just took things for what they were. Maybe it was my frontal lobe not being developed yet, but I was so down for everything. I was so open to everything. I was open to seeing what I wanted to do, which is a part of growing up and learning. But I feel like ever since getting out of that and now having to navigate the world, and I'm like, wait a second, now I'm being met in scenarios where I've never been in, or meeting people that I've never met, or even navigating the dating scene in general, or just like new friendships and, just new dynamics. Unshakable boundaries is something that I have had to learn and something that I feel like has really saved me. Say that you are the kingdom, okay? Your boundaries are the walls surrounding you. It's your energetic filter, okay? Before you even have your boundaries, and I didn't really add this as its own point, but practicing discernment is so important so that your boundaries actually work. And you may be asking, what is discernment? Discernment is the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. It is the ability to make a smart judgment about something. So when I say practicing discernment, I mean deciding if a person is a good vibe, if they should even, be in your orbit, deciding if a situation is a good idea to be in. So then once you've gathered that you're in a safe situation, you're in a good situation, you trust these people, making sure that they don't overstep any boundaries. This could even be simple things from who you allow into your home, who you allow to speak to you in a certain way, not allowing boys or girls to disrespect you, not allowing yourself to get walked over, not allowing yourself to over please or people please in general, not allowing people to push you or make you stay later than what you wanted. Maybe it's even monitoring the amount of access that people get to you. Just in general, having boundaries. Boundaries, I think, might be one of the biggest forms of self-love because you're protecting yourself and you're not letting any bad energy or bad vibes come your way, which again is like the protection of your kingdom. If you are not protected and you're just letting unwanted people come all over and step all over you and you're conscious of it, it's not going to make you feel good. It's not going to be a good look for you. It's just going to leave you feeling empty and drained. So learning to have boundaries and keeping your boundaries. This might be asserting your voice if you have to, speaking up, raising your voice, saying no when you mean to, and doubling down on your no, not letting someone push your nose until you eventually end up saying yes. Not only that, but when you say no, not feeling sorry about it and actually owning your word and not feeling embarrassed by it. In fact, the stronger boundaries you have, the more respect people will have for you. Number 2 I have is standards. So I feel like this is a different point from the boundaries one, but I feel like the boundaries, as I said, is kind of like your walls before people get into your kingdom. And then once they are in your kingdom, which is like your life, your energy, your bubble, your space, once they're in here, having a level of standard that you allow these people to be at. By this, I mean having your own set of rules by the people that you allow to be in your inner circle. This might be the qualities they have, the traits they exude, their personality, how they treat other people, how they treat you, the way they talk about other people, just in general, the values they have. I want to put on here also to stop begging for bare minimum. If you're, in this case, it could be talking about like a guy or something, but if that person is not meeting your standards, then you should have no problem walking away or letting them know. Because if you embody all these qualities and traits, then you should at least bare minimum expect someone else to kind of also be on that same level as you. So don't be afraid to walk away if needed. Hold your standards up high and know that that is your filter for who enters your life and how people treat you. And it is literally going to shape the way that you experience your life. So you have to be so discerning with your standards and your boundaries. That will allow the love to not be taken from you and for it to flow in and out of your body in peace. I was reading this book, which I actually really recommend. It's called Untethered Soul, but I was just reading this chapter on the chakras and about having your heart open or closed. And it was saying how you should have your heart open as often as you can so that energy can flow through you and you can have this energy within you at all times because it is your birthright. And it said like you can feel when your heart is literally closing. For example, if there is your boyfriend and you like love spending time with them, all is well, it's a good time, and then they say an off comment about your appearance, maybe your heart closes and you feel your heart getting closed and it's actually like blocking your heart chakra. In that case, they were saying keep your heart open as much as you can, but if there's people in your life that are like genuinely causing you to close up, don't have those people around you. So again, the boundaries and the standards are going to prevent that from even happening in the first place so that you can keep your heart open and good vibes flowing all in you, within you, and around you. The third way that I had to practice self-love was to be devoted to taking care of yourself and giving yourself princess treatment. By this, I mean genuinely dating yourself and treating yourself how you want to be treated. Right before I started filming this episode, I was actually going to film an episode about discipline and devotion, and I won't talk too much about it because I still want to make an episode on that, but it was basically talking about how discipline is so important. You guys already know that. It is how we end up becoming the version that we want to become. And it is so important. It gives us so much confidence and it gives us a good sense of self. But sometimes discipline can come out of a place of like forcing something to work or shaming yourself into acting a certain way, or just kind of making yourself do something because you want certain outcomes. Whereas devotion is a much more loving way of seeing it. And it's kind of like you're doing certain actions because you want to treat yourself, because you're devoted to your highest self, because you're devoted to feeling love, emitting love, because you're devoted to taking care of your body. And when you have it in that kind of mindset, everything you do is an act of self-love, not an act of hatred. For example, if you are working out in the gym every single day because you hate your body versus going to the gym every single day because you actually love your body and you want your body to feel healthy and to feel good, there's a very big difference. And when you are devoted to giving yourself princess treatment and treating yourself with love, you will just exude such a better vibe than the other one. You will attract so many better things into your life, and it will make being disciplined actually a lot easier. And you will probably be more consistent in your habits and in the way that you're acting rather than from a place of hatred. I saw this post on TikTok and it was basically saying that, say you're in a loving relationship where it is very mutual. They love you, you love them, and you're excited to go see them one day and you're driving to their home and they ask you to take a 10-minute detour to go to the grocery store to go get something for them because they were feeling hungry. You probably wouldn't be annoyed and you'd be like, of course, sure, I'll do that for you because I love you. You're devoted to them. That's why you would go out of your way to do this thing for them and it wouldn't even be a nuisance for you. So in that same way, they're saying treat yourself like that person that you're dating. And if you need to wake up 30 minutes earlier to get to your workout class on time, do that for yourself out of love because you are devoted to yourself. I think other ways that I have practiced this is like doing yoga every morning. I am more devoted to taking care of my body and feeling good in my body. And it's not something that I have to force myself out of discipline to do. It is something that I enjoy doing and I love doing. Another example of devotion for myself was like when I was first starting YouTube, I was obsessed with it. It is something I loved. Nobody had to force me because it was in alignment with what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. I was doing it out of devotion. And honestly, devotion took me a lot further than discipline would because I was so obsessed with it. Also, not being afraid to give yourself princess treatment. If you want to give yourself a little treat here and there, treat yourself like the way that you want to be treated. If you want to buy yourself flowers, buy yourself flowers. I always have a fresh set of flowers on my table and I always treat myself to a little sweet treat here and there, and it makes me feel so good and happy. And I'm the source of my own joy. I'm not asking anybody else to give me that joy. Number 4, which is kind of on the self-discipline and kind of on the devotion topic, but I had keep your promises. Do what you say you're going to do. Sometimes we may avoid doing hard things because who wants to do something hard? You want to take the easy route. But when you do the hard thing and you do it again and again and you show yourself that you can do it, and you're thinking in your highest self, what would future me want? And you're acting in that way, even if it's tough, you will feel so proud of yourself. You will have so much confidence in whatever it is that you are building because you're going to know that you don't get swayed by distractions so easily. You do what you say you're going to do. You get the results that you said that you wanted, and that builds self-confidence. This is your reminder to show up even when it's hard. Right now, I'm currently filming this episode at 10 p.m. And although I would rather just shut the camera off and go lay down, go on my phone, go dance, go do literally anything else, I'm like, Fernanda, you're going to sit down and you're going to record this episode because future Fern is going to be so thankful that you did this. And if future Fern wants to post podcast videos and she wants to be consistent, she can't just keep flaking for other plans. And you know what? An example of this could be, I actually made plans with friends tonight. And though I want to go see my friends and I want to go hang out with them, my friends are not responsible for my future. I am. So I need to keep my own promise, and I need to know that working for myself right now is going to benefit me more than hanging out with someone else. And that in itself is the devotion. The next example that I have on how you can practice self-love is by not saying any self-deprecating comments about yourself. You guys, I am somebody who loves a little self-deprecating comment. I feel like sometimes it's not even self-deprecating, but you're being relatable, you're being real. Sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, yeah, let's go play tennis, even though I'm so bad, it's going to be so humbling. And it's like, I'm not being serious. I might be joking about my abilities with any sport with a ball. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually being real about myself, but I would never, ever joke about like, oh, but I'm not worthy of that. Like that is something I won't joke about. And I'm really conscious about making jokes about my self-worth or like my appearance or my intelligence or my ideas or my creativity or like how I want to be treated or about how people treat me. Like those things you cannot joke about because you guys already know your subconscious doesn't know the difference between true and false. And if you're just saying things and it's self-deprecating, it's rude, it's mean, you are going to start to believe those things. Not only that, but I almost like, it makes me physically cringe when I hear my friends about to say something like that is like self-deprecating about their worth, because it's like, you don't even need to say it out loud. I also feel like I wouldn't even want someone else to hear me say those things about myself, because if I say them and I'm okay with it, then they're going to feel like it's okay to say that about me. And I do not want that to be the talk of the town. I don't want to say like, oh, I think I'm stupid. And then people go around and be like, yeah, Fernanda's stupid. She says it about herself, so now I can say it. No, do not do it. I also want to say on that note, people will treat you how you treat yourself. So if you hold yourself to a high standard and a high regard and you own the traits that you have and you talk openly about like what you like about yourself and how you view yourself, people will view you the same way. I had written down here, speak to yourself like you would to your younger self. If you would not say these things to your 5-year-old self, don't say it to yourself now. If you wouldn't want your mother saying these things to you, don't say it to yourself now. And even if you had your own child, would you say it to your child? If the answer is no, don't say it about yourself. The subconscious mind is truly so powerful and it will start to believe things even if you don't truly mean them. Also, there are so many other ways to be funny or to joke or to relate that if self-deprecation is your fastest way of doing that, it just means that you need to evolve in the sense of humor that you have, I think. Like there are just so many other ways to connect. That's not the one. I also feel like other people that have high levels of self-love and self-confidence and self-respect, they will easily clock when you do this, and I feel like they won't fuck with it. Sorry to say that, but I feel like for myself, because I actively try not to do this, when I see someone else doing it, I'm like, oh, like I get like a, I wish they weren't doing that. I wish they weren't saying that, because it makes it awkward for the other person too. And I've also been in the scenario where I've said something self-deprecating and it's awkward for the other people around me. So it's like, it's better to just avoid that situation. Honestly, any hangout with empowerment is better than relating over misery. You know what they say, misery loves company, and you don't want to be the one initiating that or the one giving the other person company, if that makes sense. The next example that I had for ways that you can show yourself self-love is celebrating yourself with confidence. Now, guys, I feel like sometimes people have trouble celebrating themselves or owning their good qualities or talking about themselves in a positive light freely because they are scared of coming across as entitled or a little bit egotistical, even a little bit narcissistic. I feel like people throw that word around like it's nothing, even though it's like so much deeper than just like giving yourself praise. But a big distinction between owning what you've got and owning your traits that you so confidently can embody and like feeling proud of who you are and enjoying who you are versus feeling entitled, feeling like you're better than somebody else. Entitlement is a whole different game, a whole different yard. What's the saying? That's a whole different playing field, okay? So we know that we are not better than anyone, but also that no one's better than us. We hold ourselves to that level of like self-possession, maybe. It is okay to know the qualities that you like about yourself and own those with pride. You know, if you are someone who's really good at drawing, own that you're really good at drawing. Feel proud of yourself. If you are someone who loves the way your hair is and is like so naturally long and thick, don't shy away from it. Like own it. If you're very smart, own it. If you are very artistic, own it. If you are super fit, feel proud of it. These are all reflections of yourself. And I feel like a lot of the times, and I've seen this somewhere written down before, that a lot of guys sometimes can be entitled and they need to get rid of their ego because sometimes it can be a little bit too strong, too high. But a lot of girls are taught to play small, to constantly not overhype themselves up, to not feel too proud of themselves, to not feel like they are all that, and to actually like be a little bit more humble. But if anything, girls need to have more audacity and they need to own their shit. And so for that, I'm reminding you guys to feel proud of what you've done and to celebrate yourself, because I've said this so many times before, but if you don't celebrate yourself, who will celebrate you? So feel proud of what you've done and let yourself be seen. Honestly, that is like the biggest like gift you can have. And it is also, I feel like, one of the most freeing, honestly, letting yourself be seen for who you truly are and having trust that you will be actually more loved and more admired and more respected for being your truest version of yourself without having to hide or water yourself down. Also, I feel like when you are confident and you own your shit, it with pride, you kind of allow other people to feel proud of themselves too, to own themselves too. And I feel like it just makes for a very empowering circle around you. Like I love when I go out with my friends and one of my friends feeling sexy, and that doesn't take away from my other friend feeling sexy. She feels sexy too. Now the other one feels sexy. Now we're all walking around like the Winx Club and we're like, hell yeah, we all look good. And it just makes everyone feel better. Also, everybody is so different. So if you have something that you're proud of for yourself, like own that, because not everybody is the same. Everyone has different strengths, and the sooner we can embrace them, the sooner we can learn from each other too. And also, just this is like a side note, doesn't really have to do with self-love, but like if somebody else has something that you want, take that as inspiration, not as something that you should be envious of or jealous of. And, celebrate them as well, because you would love that celebration back in return. Number 7, for ways that you can show yourself self-love is by letting yourself be you, giving yourself the permission to be you without the mask. You don't need to be judgmental of yourself. And this can go in so many different ways. I feel like sometimes my friends will be like, oh, I'm being so cringe. Or sometimes my friends will be crying and they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm crying. And it's like, if you want to cry, you're allowed to cry. That's okay. If you want to be cringe, you're allowed to be cringe. If you are scared you're being too much, just like let yourself be you. I talk about this so often, but the whole thing with like feminine energy and divine feminine that everyone wants to be is that like the divine feminine is a contradiction. She can be both angry and both loving. She can be angry and she can be happy. She can be sad and she could be laughing. And it's like the duality, the emotional ups and downs are what make you a woman. Of course, having like emotional maturity is like really important as well, and being able to like self-regulate and whatever, and like not act out of line, but like whatever is how you're truly feeling and whatever is real to you is allowed, and you shouldn't feel any shame for that. Shame is actually the lowest vibration that we could be feeling, and we want to eliminate that as much as possible. A lot of the times when we feel shame for something, it is because someone told us that we shouldn't be doing that. So I feel like going back and thinking to yourself, who made me feel like I'm not allowed to cry? Who made me feel like I'm being too much? Who made me feel like being myself is like more than they could ask for? Deprogramming those conditioned beliefs, I feel like is so important. And the sooner that you can do that, the sooner that you can own being your authentic self without the mask, and, just reminding yourself that you're not too much. And even if you were too much, says who? Says what? Anyone who thinks you're too much, it is just them being uncomfortable with your bigness, which is not your problem, it's theirs, and just shows how little they are capable of actually holding or witnessing. Again, reminder, give yourself permission to be yourself, whatever that means, and in whatever case that is for you. You're allowed to be a contradiction, you're allowed to be multifaceted, you're allowed to have duality, and that doesn't take away from you, it actually makes you more full, and that's something to love even more about yourself. Number 8, I had written down here, give your body what it actually needs, not just what it craves. Sometimes I feel like we can confuse self-love for self-pleasure in a way, and we want to do all the things that are going to give us the most amount of pleasure, like for example, partying 3 days in a row, or staying up all night because you're having so much fun, but then you feel like shit the next day, or treating yourself, but like every single day and ordering so much Uber Eats that you're not actually cooking and your body feels like shit. Like you think these things are forms of self-love, but in reality, you could be self-sabotaging. And sometimes self-love isn't the most pleasurable option. Sometimes self-love means cooking your own food instead of ordering out. Sometimes self-love means putting yourself to sleep and having to leave the party early because you are so tired and you cannot stay up that late. Sometimes self-love means canceling the party because you have overdue work. What I'm trying to say is that you need to listen to your body and know that your body is trying to tell you what it wants. And if you listen closely, you have the map within you. And sometimes your body needs nourishment, it needs sleep, it needs rest. And I think that's actually a very important one too, because I think we are in such a hustle culture that a lot of people think that rest is unproductive, or that rest means that you're lazy, or rest means that you're like unworthy. But if your body needs rest, then that is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself, which in return will allow you to perform so much better in, the time leading forward. But this is your reminder to listen deeply to your body and to trust your inner guidance and even your inner intuition. And like, what is that little voice saying? How can I listen to that one? Okay, next one. Number 9. This one is so important. Choose people who choose you back. Whether this is friends or this is lovers, this applies to either situation. But this is your reminder that if you feel like you are convincing someone, whether that be of your worth or your time or your presence or just anything, It is not love, and you are allowed to let them go. It is not a good feeling to constantly be having to chase someone, and the most divine feminine thing you can do is actually sit back and observe the way people act around you, observe behaviors, observe how people show up. Again, this is having discernment, having standards, and seeing who rises to the occasion, seeing who rises to meet where you are at. And if someone is not choosing you, then allow those people to walk out of your life, allow those people to leave, and allow yourself to cut them off. I feel like having an abundance mindset is so important. And by this, I mean knowing that there will be more people, there will be more lovers, there will be more friends. And if these people are not coming to you with love, the most loving thing you can do to yourself is just letting them go. The right people will be attracted to you. And I would rather pick, for example, if I was thinking of a significant other, I would rather pick a significant other from the people that are all coming to me rather than me going out of my way and leeching onto people that do not want me. Like, that is a nightmare, and I will not be convincing anyone of my worth. So unless you are coming to me, then I will pick from those people. And that is for friendships as well. Surround yourself with people who you do not have to remind of your worth and of who you are. I feel like an important thing to remember that sometimes we forget is that we have free will. And if there is someone that's like not making us feel good, we have the ability and the option to walk away. And although it might not be easy, your future self will really thank you. And that's who we're doing this all for. Number 10, for how you can show more self-love to yourself, is by forgiving yourself loudly. I feel like we've all been in situations that we have not felt so proud of after. We might feel a little bit shameful. And again, remember, shame is like the lowest frequency we can be, and we are not trying to be down there in shame. But, I think like life is like a big case of like a trial and error situations. And sometimes you do things you regret, or sometimes you're put in bad situations that you didn't even mean to be in. Either way, giving yourself a hard time is not doing anyone justice. It is not going to make you feel better. You can't change the situation because it already happened. I feel like it's sometimes a way that you can try to give yourself control or, justify like a situation or like, almost like punishing yourself. But honestly, forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace is the most loving thing that you can do, and ridding yourself from that guilt and shame that will eat you alive. You can forgive yourself for the times that you settled, the times that you stayed for too long, the times that you didn't show up, for the times you didn't know any better, for the times that you did what you could with the knowledge that you had at that time. It is in the past. It happened. We got our lessons out of it. We hopefully will take those lessons and not repeat those same mistakes or those same patterns. And the most we can do is self-reflect and hope that we don't repeat the cycle. Breaking the cycle is the most loving thing we can do, really. Okay, number 11 for ways that you can show yourself self-love. This one is, one of the basic ones, but I had to sprinkle it in here, which is why we had it near the end. But it is to romanticize your alone time. To date yourself, truly. This is similar to one of the ones that I had earlier, which earlier I had to be devoted to taking care of yourself and giving yourself princess treatment. But this one isn't just about giving yourself princess treatment because, you might not have princess treatment all the time. You might not be able to give yourself a matcha latte from the cutest cafe every single day. You might not be able to buy yourself a cute little handbag every single month. You might not be able to treat yourself to the outfit you want for that special occasion. But what you can do is romanticize every single day and treat it like you are in your own romance movie, your own love movie, your own coming of age movie. This is romanticizing the mundane, romanticizing all your little rituals and your little habits, and creating intention all around you, creating meaning all around you, making your life feel beautiful because you want it to be beautiful, not because someone else is doing it for you. Making your bed every single morning so that when you go to bed at night, it feels so nice to open those sheets up and just crawl in there and it's so warm. Maybe having a little tea by your bedside table, maybe reading a book, maybe it is having music playing while you're taking a shower because that feels good and exciting. Maybe it is opening your blinds every single day and letting the sun shine in and shine on your face. Maybe it's taking a walk with yourself and enjoying your own presence and like observing the views around you. Maybe it is going window shopping alone and just like going to see what's trending, what's fashionable, what's out there. Maybe it's just drawing to music. Whatever it is enjoying your life and creating those dates for yourself. There's so many dates that are like low budget dates or free dates that you can go on, like going to the movie theater or having a paint night. Do that with yourself and enjoy it. Enjoy being your own best friend. Enjoy spending that time alone, because if you are comfortable with being by yourself, nobody can take that away from you. And even if people come in and out of your life, you'll always have yourself. And the sooner that you can enjoy spending that time alone, and not only enjoy it, but actually love it and seek it out, the sooner you will feel free and not feel like your happiness is dependent on someone else. I also feel like when you spend so much time on yourself and loving yourself and hanging out with yourself, you just exude this wholeness that is so irresistible to so many people around you. You know, whether that be a friend that says like, oh my God, she's such a cool vibe, I really want to be her friend, she seems like she has a lot of interest, or it's like a guy being like, or a girl, whoever it is, a significant other being like, damn, they really got it going on, like they really seem like they take care of themselves. Like it is not only something that is like attractive, but, and I say attracted as in like a attraction quality, like a significant other, but it is like attractive in magnetism. Like you will be magnetizing to the people all around you because they will all want to be a part of your life. They'll say, damn, that girl looks like she's having the time of her life on her own. I want to get in there. And that's how you will have more people coming to you and you just sitting back and relaxing and receiving rather than going out and chasing. And also the right people will be attracted to you in your wholeness. And also, if you treat yourself with that much love and affection and you literally elevate your own experiences by that much, other people will have no option other than to meet you there and also create those experiences for yourself. Like if I'm having a 10-step afternoon good night routine and somebody comes in and wants to have a sleepover with me, like, and they're not also doing that for me, I'm gonna be like, dude, I do this better myself. Why are you even here? You know what I mean? Okay. The last way that I had for how you can show yourself self-love and feel self-love is by taking the time to feel put together and feel beautiful. By this, I mean taking the time to adorn your body as if you were a queen. Okay, I feel like back in the day, there was all these queens like in Egypt and in different time periods, okay? And their beauty rituals were like sacred. They would take the time to brush their hair and to do their makeup. And it wasn't just like, you know, quick just to get it done and just like to get out of the house and like to appease to other people or to appeal to the male gaze. Like they did it for themselves. It was a ritual. It was sacred and it was like so intentional and it was an act of self-love. It was a whole event. And I feel like we've talked about this again so many times before, but I feel like I need to say it again. When you feel good in what you are wearing and the way that you look, you move through the world differently. You move with more ease, with more grace. You feel good. You feel hot. You feel sexy. You feel confident. You want to be seen. You want to be out. You will just feel so good and almost even so productive. I feel like the better I feel on the outside, the more I want to keep getting stuff done. I also feel like, you know, we're only going to be so young. And, you know, if we're young and hot, which is literally any age, because like we just need to be blessed that we're alive and it's also a privilege to age. But like at any age, we're the youngest we're ever going to be. So we might as well enjoy the way that we look and enjoy the way that we feel and to adorn ourselves and to also remind ourselves that the way that we express ourselves is such a reflection of how we feel internally. So to play around with it and to have fun with it and to see it like that, to see your makeup, your hair, your outfit as a form of self-expression and to honestly like lean into that and think to yourself, how do I want to express myself? How do I want to show up in this world? And like reminding yourself, you're just like a little character, like a little sim. Like, how do I want to dress my character today? And how fun is that? I also wanted to add here to accept compliments because I feel like that is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I feel like it all goes into having this receiving energy and allowing love to come into your life, allowing compliments to come into your life, and just like allowing people to praise you and you not feeling like, again, you need to play small or not accept that, you know, just like a princess. A princess would say thank you, maybe give a compliment back and keep it moving. Anyways, you guys, I feel like I have been yapping for quite a bit, but those were 12 ways that you can show yourself self-love and that you can start to embody self-love and start to emit it as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know that I had a lot of fun talking about all these different ways that I have been practicing self-love. This has been such a prevalent thing in my life and I feel like it has made me so much more joyous and I feel so much more at ease and I feel like it shows. I genuinely do think that people can feel the self-love coming off of you. I hope that you guys all either got some inspiration, learned something new, or shifted your perspective and are excited to act out of a place of self-love starting tomorrow or starting today, whenever you're listening to this episode. And again, I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it to the end of the episode. And as always, I hope to see you soon.